Doot. Hello. Can you hear me?
Gotcha, man. Good
Oh,
morning.
perfect. Good morning. Let these guys in here. How's our new guy doing that joined right before I went? Matt.
Good.
He has a call with
Thinking
you?
about, yeah.
Awesome. Very good.
Hey, Darren's on.
Yeah, Darren.
What's
Big
up,
D.
Darren?
Big Darren's in the house. Darren, how's your leg doing, brother? Here, you're
Oh, you're on
muted.
mute.
Here, you're muted, Darren. You're muted. There you go.
There we go. How's that?
Gotcha.
So yeah,
How's the leg,
legs are,
brother?
it is improving. I'm allowed to walk on the treadmill at 2 miles an hour, little baby steps. So
There you go.
I'll take it. It's something I'm allowed to do, so I won't complain. Right?
Yeah, excellent. Very good.
More than push-ups and sit-ups now, so at least I can branch out.
Yeah, man, that's rough, man. It's good. It's
I'll,
slow and
I'll be
steady.
glad to get back. That's for sure. Itching for it.
Yeah, I bet. What's the prognosis? What's the timeline?
They're still got me at probably 3 months. I'm still on blood thinners, several other I got more medications than a 90-year-old diabetic heart patient. It's terrible. As a matter of fact, it's hard for me to keep to remember them all. There's so many of them. I've got to take like 3 pills 3 or 4 times a day. It's nuts.
Yeah,
But yeah, 3 months we're looking at. I've got an appointment at Cleveland Clinic in July, so hopefully I'll get a lot of answers there and be able to move forward a little bit more.
yeah. Okay. Well, you're still shredded Hulk, kicking ass, and inspiring everybody. So
All
no one has
diet,
no one
all
has any
diet. Yeah.
excuse.
No, no. If I can stay lean and look decent for me, then yeah, everybody's quite capable of it for sure. No doubt about that. It's just diet, man. That's what I keep telling the guys. Diet, diet, diet. 90%.
Absolutely. Um, well, we've got here's today. I'm gonna kind of talk you guys through my weekend camping trip with my son, some really important lessons learned there. Heard Hero once again had an awesome call, so he's crushing it. Then today's a really busy day for me. Next week I go to Mexico, so that'll be a crazy week. So this time of the year is just insanity and craziness, and we've got a couple new guys. Matt joined 5 minutes before I had to leave for camping, of course. I was talking to him for like 3 days and trying to get it done over DM. And then like 3 hours before I left for camping, um, I was like, all right, dude. He's like, all right, I'm in. I said, okay, good, dude. Let's finalize it. Let's make it happen. Here he is, Matt. And then like he finally, as my family's in the truck, he's like, okay, I'm ready. So, of course. So then I had to like process it, do all that kind of stuff, onboard him, text Darren and Justin and get all this stuff happen. And then I remembered on the last call, I told you guys I was going to take a picture of the scale and hold myself accountable for my weight right before I left for camping. And then because of the madness before I left, I forgot to do it. And as I was driving to the camping place, I was like, son of a bitch, I forgot to take a picture of my scale. So you'll just have to trust me. I didn't lose any weight, but I didn't gain any weight, which is great for me because I did this camping this place we're at, in the past it was like drink and eat the entire time, just eat like shit, drink like shit, and I would gain like 6 to 8 pounds in a weekend. But what I did do is I got 23,000 to like 26,000 steps every single day, which was when I got with my watch. I was keeping track, and the campground is on this mountain. This huge road goes to the bottom. And every year I'm like, I would see one random person for the entire weekend walking up, and I was like, man, that sucks. Why would you ever want to do that? So that I made myself do that every day, going up and down this mountain, walking it in between our meals and things like that. So I did that. And I'm going to share some pictures with you guys so you can relate to some of these stories I'm going to tell you. But this was the perfect opportunity for me to say, hey, something special is happening. It's an event, it's a celebration. Do I have to eat and drink like shit? Like I'm sure Darren had many times over this past year where he could be like, "Oh, I'm down on myself. I can't go to the gym. Why can't I just go off my diet, make myself feel good for a moment? It's a special occasion." I'm sure he could have done that many, many times. And that was this weekend, like no reception, I'm not posting my macros or accountability. I can't do any of that. So why don't I just drink and eat all day? But at the same time, I was reading Marcus Aurelius with me. I brought a book. I got so much reading and journaling done. It was amazing. Felt so clear headed. See you, Justin. Um,
Hey,
and I was
brother.
reading Marcus Aurelius, and he taught, 2,000 years ago, he was talking about this exact, I think it's 2,000 years ago, talking about this exact same thing about living a disciplined life, being the leader of your family, being a husband, a father, leading your country, being a man who's disciplined and can control himself. He talks about the pleasures of life versus the man we want to become and the integrity of our soul and our mind over having this body that wants to just partake and do whatever it wants to. It's in his book Meditations. So I was journaling and reading this and meditating it all weekend. And at the same time, wife, other friend we were with, all the kids, the other wife, everyone like eating all the stuff at the table. And like we had burgers and hot dogs the one day. Me just putting I still had burgers, but I put them in lettuce, didn't have any chips, any of that kind of stuff. And I was still happy and fine. I still had a great time. I was still a good husband, a good father. A lot of things we say are, well, if I was a good, I was a good husband, so I ate what my wife told me to eat. You occasionally hear that. Or, I'm a good father, so my daughter handed me a cookie and I ate it. That kind of thing. No, you could still be a good husband, a good father. You can still show up. You can still have fun. You can still be present, still have a great time and not shove your face with sugar and alcohol. You can still do that. Those two things aren't the same. These little things are the things that are going to keep us stuck. Like I posted Lewis this morning. Darren's been taking Lewis through like a 1 month strict protocol, and he's been
Killing it.
tempted. Yeah, he's killed. He's been tempted many, many, many times. He's talked to me about through this last month. He said, and same with Almond right now, zero carb, multiple zero carb days, like 50
Yeah.
carb days, 80 carb days, just really, really struggling. And he could have made excuse after excuse after excuse about why he couldn't do it. But his vision outweighed his excuses. Like what he wanted to achieve had more weight than the excuses he was giving himself. Now take that and apply that to your health journey, to your marriage, to your business. What do you want in life? What excuses are you giving yourself? Which one wins? Is it, well, I'm at a family party, so I have to blank? Like input your own excuse here that always wins. Lewis had to say, no, I want zero excuses. Kenny, last month, I want zero excuses. I just want to be this. Almond in a couple weeks. I want zero excuses. I came back. I have all these messages from Almond. He kept on doing his check-ins. He's You have to say, I'm going
Every day.
all in every single day. Yeah,
Yeah.
every single day. So let me show you like what this, I'm going to share my screen, show you a couple of these pictures because I want to share this part of my life with you guys because this place is really special to us. And then I'm going to tell you some stories, like some fatherhood things that were massive breakthroughs. So this is a few of the pictures here, the kind of what it looks like. There's me and my daughter. One of my wife's one of our friends there. My wife drinking a Moscow Mule. I was offered about 20 times Moscow Mule, said no every single time. And then I had a great talk with my friend about like, I mean look at this s'more thing that they made every single day. I mean, come on. Guess what? I still had a great time and didn't have to do that. Of course, made some steak. You can still eat amazing and have a great time. Um, is my son making some s'mores, taught him the art of making s'mores. There's also a pool there that we are able to use. Taught my son and his friend how to make fire. So and the girls, we let my son and his friend make the fire twice from scratch after we taught them. And then we let my daughter and her friend make the fire as well. So we did two different lessons. And I videotaped it as much as I could. But they just freaking loved it. So letting them be a little dangerous. Me and my wife had some great one-on-one time taking walks. This is the crew we're with. This guy right here, Mark Forelli, he's a badass. He's a bodybuilder as well. I posted some pictures of him. You know, and the same thing. He's also a very disciplined guy. Came back, all my patio was destroyed. So this is what kind of what it looks like here. And I wanted to talk about some stuff that happened with my son. This is like the most important thing that happened to me this weekend. So saying no to food and alcohol, that's kind of routine for me right now. You might be at the point where that's not routine for you, and every single one of those instances is hard. And I understand that. It can be very hard. And if it's still really hard for you, that's normal. You're in a normal spot because it is at the very beginning. I
Yes.
remember the first time I went away with my brothers to like a whiskey night 1 month into my journey. And I said, I was freaking out. I said, what am I going to do tonight? This is like for the past 5 years, we have whiskey nights. We're at a bar. I'm normally drinking. And we went there and I had an unsweetened iced tea for 4 hours and they all got hammered. It was really weird and it was hard for me. Now it's just routine. It's just part of my life now. It's not a big deal anymore. So here's the thing that I wanted to talk about. And that is some important revelations that Nathan had that I was able to guide him through that many adults, fully grown men still have. And that is what we're talking about now, holding yourself to a standard and saying no to other people and not changing yourself for anyone else. So for me this weekend, it was all about, am I going to change myself for someone else? And in this book, Meditations, Marcus Aurelius says, you have ownership over every opinion you make. He says, you have the decision to make, and you are 100% responsible for what you decide to do in your own life. No one else's thoughts, actions have any sway over you unless you decide that they do, unless you have an opinion on someone else's action. That's exactly what this is. I decided that I didn't care what anyone else's actions or thoughts or words were. I was going to hold myself to my standard. My son, here's what happened. There was a kid, kind of an annoying kid, who was in the campground. Nathan was playing with his friends. He came up and wanted to play with Nathan and them. Nathan said yes like 3 times for an entire day, played with this kid. They played football, included the kid, which I was really happy to see that he did that. But then the kid started to irritate him and be a little annoying, and he kept on coming up. And this kid's dad was just sitting drinking by the fire, wasn't playing with the kid at all. So, of course, the kid came over to us and wanted to play with us and play with my kid, which I'm fine with doing. But Nathan said, Dad, he came over to me and whispered, he's like, Dad, I really don't want to play with him anymore. So I said, okay, just say you don't want to play with him anymore. Just say, okay, it was fun playing with you. Maybe we can come back later, and that's okay. So he walked over to the kid and he said, yeah, I think we're done playing. That was fun. And then they didn't play for the rest of the night. The kid kind of like hung his head, walked away. And you might think, oh, that's mean. To me, I was proud of him that he was able to do that. And then his best friend that was there, he had another revelation with him because later in the night, everyone went to sleep. Me and Nathan stayed up around the campfire for about an hour and just talked because he was playing with his friend the entire weekend. So he came up to me finally. We had some one-on-one time. He's sitting with me. We just talked. I pulled out my phone. I was reading him stories. All throughout their life, I write down stories that they do, like funny things they say. So I was reading back from like age 2 to 6, funny things Nathan and Lauren were saying. He was cackling with me by the fire. And then he pauses and he says, Dad, it's like a moment of brilliance. He goes, Dad, I think I need to say no more. So I just stopped everything I was saying. I said, What do you mean? He said, Well, like sometimes I'm riding my bike with my friend and then he just stops in the middle of it and I'm not really having fun, but I'm having a lot of fun just talking to you. He said, and I wish that I would have just talked to you more for like today. He said, so I think I just need to like say no more. So I said, guess what, Nathan? I need to say no more too. And you can do that and not feel bad about it. I said, this is going everyone struggles with this. I said, the thing you're talking about with me, I talk about on my calls. And that is changing yourself because you feel bad for someone else. And these are the words I spoke to him. I said, you need to release yourself from that. You need to not take other people's baggage on as your own. You have to do what you feel is right and let them follow you. I said, if you want to stop playing, if you want to come hang out with me or you want to come do your own thing, you can do that, say no, without changing who you are because you're afraid someone else is going to feel bad. And then we talked about this for another 20 minutes. This is an I wished someone had talked with me about this when I was little because this plagued me all through into my 30s. It was me changing who I was because I was afraid someone else was going to feel bad. Sometimes, how many of us deal with this with our wives, guys? You're trying to get in shape, you're trying to eat healthy, your wife is not, and you feel bad that she's eating pizza and you're eating lettuce, so you eat pizza. Your wife is drinking a White Claw. You're drinking water. She's saying, "Why aren't you drinking with me?" You feel bad because she feels bad about herself, so you start drinking. That's what this is fleshed out into the adult male world.
Yeah. And Chris, if I might say something here too,
Bring
just
it
from
in.
experience,
Yeah.
the most dangerous thing you can do with your family is you set the standard, then back away from it because of the situation, right? Because then you're telling your family it's okay to change your behavior and change your standard depending on what situation you're involved in. That's what that says. And so, it is more important for you when you set the standard to stick to that standard and let your family see that you stick to that standard versus adapting your standards to your current situation or your current environment. Right. Because then what you're telling your kids when you do that, it's okay to modify what your beliefs are depending on what other people are dictating to you. And you can't do that. Right. That is a really dangerous example to set for your family. Once you set the standard, you stick to the standard, and that is way more important and way more beneficial for your family than you adapting to the situation and the environment and changing your standards. Because if you're doing that, then you're caving and they're showing them that it's okay to cave, especially your kids who are bombarded with peer pressure. I'm bombarded with, hey, we do things differently here. You need to adapt to how we do it. Meaning, hey, we want you to change your standards, right? And so, what you guys are doing and what Chris is developing in this program is unbelievably important in the fact that once you set the standard, you can't step back from that standard. You cannot do it because of how dangerous that is and the example that sets for your family, guys. So it doesn't matter the situation, doesn't matter where you're at. If you set the standard, you stick to it. If you set the standard in your diet, you stick to it, no matter what somebody offers you, because it is more important for you to lead by example and set that example of pushing that away and saying, no, that's not where I am. That's not what I'm doing. That's not what my discipline dictates right now. Maybe at some point in my life that might be different, but right now it is not. And so, I can't do that. And you can do that very nicely. And it
Yes.
just becomes after a while, it becomes the point where people don't even really ask you anymore because they know what the standard is. And then people will start adapting their standards to yours.
Yep.
That's the huge part of it, right? As long as you stay strict with your standards, people will adapt their standards to yours when they're around you. They will rise to the occasion because they're going to feel guilty, right? They're going to feel less about themselves and they don't want to do that. So when you stick to those standards that you set, no matter the situation, it will allow other people to rise to your level versus allowing you to decrease yourself to their standards that are lower than yours and sinking into that behavior. So, what Chris is talking about is unbelievably important here. And I've seen it so many times in young men's lives, other guys I've worked with. And then it's a downward spiral from there, because when you start making those exceptions, you can make those exceptions across the board to so many other things. And it can absolutely train wreck your goals, train wreck your progress, train wreck everything that you've worked for because of one single decision, because it makes it so much easier to repetitively redo that over that again. So, what Chris is talking about, unbelievably important for you guys to really get this in your life, and do not change your standards. Set those standards, raise everybody's standards around you, and do not drop yours. Never retreat to your old self. Never retreat to what your old standards were, because if you do, you're setting the example that that's okay.
The beautiful. Hell yes. I agree 1,000%. And the hardest part of this is in your own family.
Yes.
It's not even your buddies, right? It's like and I'm sure you went through this too. You're trying to live to a standard, but at the same time, you have also in your past, you have a history of not living to that standard. So now you're trying to make a change, and the person who you're living with 24/7 is saying, well, which person is the real you? Is it the guy who I've lived with for 10 years, or is this new person for the last 6 months has been living to this code? Like, which is the Chris that's going to be around for a long time? And then you're going to face resistance. You're going to face some passive aggressive remarks from your wife. You're going to face some lack of belief. That stuff is just part of the process. Does that mean you get divorced and you give up or you cave? No, it means you are the lighthouse. It means you make yourself strong and you continue down that path no matter what. You're going to face resistance. I had little battles and arguments with my wife over the past 5 days. That's part of being married. That's part of being married is you're going to have arguments. You're going to have little fights. But as Darren said, there's a way you can speak. The tone in which you say these things matters. How you converse with them matters. You can still argue with somebody while building them up. You can still have a strong, confident, loving tone as you do this. I've reached the point, thankfully, after lots of battles, where in terms of the food, alcohol thing, this circle of people I camped with, they just know I'm not going to do that. So my wife made plates of food for everyone, brought everyone over to the campfire. She just said, I know you're eating something different. So she said, I'm going to let you make your own plate. That's it. I didn't take offense to that. She didn't take offense to that. I just made my own plate of food, left the carbs out, had a great time. There wasn't another word said about it. I know that exact same situation would spiral other marriages, though. Like my brother and his wife, holy hell. If that happened, I know the wife would have came over, brought him nachos and buns and ice cream. And then if he said no, it would have been fighting for the rest of the night because the communication there's no trust and there's a whole bag of issues. And what Darren said, if you are in some days, out some days, then you're going to live in this purgatory forever
Yes.
of your wife not knowing what to expect. Like, are you living to your standards or not? Because then if you're in some days, out some days, in some weekends for the Super Bowl party, the next day you're disciplined, you have no ground to stand on whenever you're like, well, why is my wife mad at me? Because you're weak, because you're not disciplined, because you're lying to her and yourself over and over again. Because some days you're in, some days you're out. Congratulations, you went 7 straight days without going off your macros. Good boy. It's nothing. Your wife doesn't know what to expect. You need to be consistent. And if you want to be called the leader of your family and you consistently break your promise to your code of living, then you can expect getting shit from your wife because you're breaking a promise with her, not just yourself. Your promise with her is, I'm going to lead you in the family. But then she's like, well, what code are we living by here? Does this man have integrity? Is this man a rock, or is he swayed under every single new situation?
Right.
He gets tempted by his friends, he caves. He gets tempted by me, he caves. I give him the littlest bit of resistance, and my husband can cave to me. I thought he was stronger than that. Who is this guy? You have to demonstrate consistency day after day after day after day to earn that. If you're in
We
some days, out some days, expect the resistance.
Weak men choose short-term gratification. Period. Weak men choose short-term gratification, guys. Strong men look at the long-term goals, the long-term gratification, and they stick to it. Period.
It's hard. Expect it to be hard. But weak men want easy things. Strong men do things for long-term gratification and can expect it to be difficult, but it's worth it in the long run. Like, do you think Lewis is in Hawaii now, loving what he looks like? For the rest of his life, he's going to look back on these pictures and videos of himself in Hawaii when he is a baby boy, wife that's young, him that's young, in the prime of their life, and he went on a journey for the last 12 months to get in the best shape of his life. Do you think it's worth it to him? Hell yes, it is.
And he will tell you the last 3 weeks have been the roughest ever in his life. I will promise you that. And he killed it, guys. He stuck right in. I mean, he texted me every time going, guys, Doc, I'm dying. Never changed, never wavered, never faltered, stuck right in there. I mean, he went to basically 24 hours without water, like you name it, he's done it. He did a full like show prep. It is not fun. It is very difficult. Amon's right there right now. He can tell you that same thing too. It is difficult. And he stuck in, guys. I'm really proud of him, really proud of him. And every one of you are quite capable of the same thing that Lewis has done, without a doubt.
And you want to get to the point where you get to earn that suffering. Like, to get to that place that they're in right now, you have to earn that. You can't just be, occasionally someone will not follow their macros for 2 months and say, I'm doing a 7-day fast to try to earn that spot. No, you need to be consistent and disciplined for months and months and months and months, and then earn the spot where those two are in right now, where you can take yourself next level and reach a once in a lifetime physique and then build yourself even from that, which is what they're now doing. Like, Kenny did that. Now he's slowly putting on lean mass. In 12 months from now, he's going to look even better.
Yeah.
12 more months of muscle, and then the process will happen again. But you have to earn that beautiful spot. I'm telling you, even though it's hard and it sucks and it's suffering and it's painful, it's still beautiful moments. I can tell you my mindset is so much better whenever I'm cutting than whenever I'm bulking. That's just the way it is for me. Like, whenever I'm in a calorie deprived state, I'm so much more clear headed. I feel so much more wisdom. I'm just better. I hate the feeling of going to sleep bloated and that bulking feeling. But it's a beautiful spot to get in. And you have to earn that suffering state that those guys are in. They were tempted. They said no. Lewis wants to look back on these times, and I think it's like 2 a.m. for him right now in Hawaii. He's one of our affiliates for Rising Father. So he helps bring people into the program. So we had an affiliate call this morning at 6 a.m. For him. It was midnight. He was on the call, and we're doing business training and marketing training. And it's going to be 2 a.m. for him right now, but he made sure that he was at that call. Like, this means everything to him. The journey he's on means everything to him. And he was talking about himself right there, Hawaii. He had a huge grin on his face. He speaks clear, more powerful now. And I think one of these calls, I'm going to do just a strict interview with him where we can dive into his mindset. I'll do the same thing with Kenny as well. Kind of like a transformation call where I talk to those guys. But it's worth it in the end. I look back at those. I've shared the pictures of myself at the beach when I was my fattest. Do you know how much I wish I could go back and speak to that guy? And a couple of days ago, I made a post. I was looking at, as soon as I got back from camping, I looked back at that picture and I was motivated to yell at that guy. And I just basically yelled at myself all in that post and put it on Instagram. I said, if I could go back and talk to this guy, this is what I would say. Some lady was offended. I said, God damn. I apologize to that lady. She said, I was with you until you said, God damn. Then she unfollowed me. I said, sorry. But it was what I wanted to speak to like, dude, look at yourself, look at your son. And the age I was there is about the age, a little older than the age Lewis is with his baby boy right now. But Lewis is 12 months into a massive transformation. So for the entire lifespan of his child, he's going to be in the best shape of his life. Disciplined, best marriage of his life. Him and his wife are crushing it also. It's a beautiful spot. So is the pain worth it? Yes. Is the sacrifice worth it? Yes. The guy I'm with, the guy Mark, he's also a trainer, a physical, he's a bodybuilder. He does some people say my program's expensive. He's a physical trainer for a group. It's $2,000 a month. It's $2,000 a month to be in that program. Okay, 24 grand a year. And he helps those guys get in shape. He said they don't have near anywhere close a single person the results of any one of our transformations. Not even close. So I was telling him, I said, well, what are you doing? Which I was coaching him through his stuff. You need a strong why attached to what you're doing, or it's not going to happen. We attach a sacred, deep, spiritual why to going to the gym and doing bicep curls. It's not just so you can see a vein pop out. It's so that you can inspire your family, be disciplined, and keep promises to yourself. Every time you say, I'm going to go to the gym tomorrow, and you stay in bed, you are creating a crack in yourself. You do it again, that crack grows bigger. And then 5 days goes by, and then you're going to message me. You're going to say, I don't know why I feel like shit. And I'm going to say, talk me through your last week. I guarantee you're going to say, well, I kind of did the bonus burns. I was 80% on my macros. I did 4 out of the 6 workouts. That's going to be your answer. How do you feel better? How do you feel strong? How do you feel on fire? It's by nailing everything. It's by keeping your promises to yourself. And then whenever you keep your promises to yourself in the basic parts of this program, you go back to your family and speak with strength. You're a better husband. You're a better father. And you're respected more. It's not just about looking good in the mirror. That's a bonus. But here's the thing. You listen to Lewis speak now. I'll try, look at some of our earliest calls. We've got over 100 calls banked on that YouTube playlist now. Look at 8 months ago. He doesn't speak the same. He speaks much clearer, more powerfully. He has a lot of wisdom to share. Same thing with everyone who's gone through this process. Their external change shows how they changed on the inside. You will feel, speak, everything about you will be different if you can discipline yourself all over. Because discipline spreads like an infection. So does lack of discipline. Darren talked about saying yes to little negotiations. Yeah, that spreads. Every single time you negotiate with yourself, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and affects one other thing. You say, I don't need to follow my macros. Then the next day you say, I don't need to follow up with that client. He knows. And then you miss a sale. I remember one specific time I was so tempted to go to sleep. It was like 4 a.m. My alarm went off and I wanted so badly to go back to sleep, but I didn't. I went to the gym, and at like 5:30 a.m., I checked my phone, a random call popped up, and they scheduled in the middle of the night. I rushed home, got the call, closed the guy, brought him into our program, and it was a 5:45 a.m. call that I took. Had I went back to sleep, I even set my alarm for 6 a.m. to go back to sleep. I wouldn't have been able to bring that guy in. So a lack of discipline, me breaking a promise to myself, would have been bad for my business and screwed this guy's life. That's how it affects every other part. Like, who you are always comes to the surface, because who you are has thousands of different habits that affect everything. Like I always would go ahead, Darren.
And who you are completely affects your kids, guys. I want to tell you that. Like just the other day, my daughter's a D1 track athlete. She, pole vaulter, high jumper, long jumper. She comes in the other day and she's talking to this guy that she's talking to, right? And so I hear her say to this guy, and this just floored me, and actually I about went in the other room and cried, because you just don't realize the impact you have on your kids. She's like, I'm just not feeling good today. My stomach hurts, this and that. But she's like, she didn't know I could hear. And she's like, but my dad's the most disciplined guy I've ever seen. He's sick as all get out. He's got all these health issues, and he's never quit taking care of himself. So I know I'm going to go work out, because I've seen what my dad's going through. And if he can do that with what he's dealing with, I'm going to go to the gym. And then I hear the guy that she's talking to going, I've never really thought about the fact that I've got no issues whatsoever, and there's days I just choose not to go. And he's like, that just really spoke to me. And, then they have this conversation about how they kind of quit on themselves occasionally. And then, but this all led to, because of the discipline my daughter has seen me exhibit, over the last 10, 15 years that she's been growing up. And I mean, she didn't know that I heard this conversation, so it was completely unsolicited, but it really hit me because I mean, all the stuff that I've gone through, the pain that I've gone through, the suffering I've gone through now, and not changing who I am, not changing my discipline, not changing my standards, not change the fact of how thankful and how blessed I am, and that I say that all the time to them, no matter what I'm going through. I saw that, right? I saw that in my daughter in a 5 minute conversation to this guy that, I mean, she just started talking to him, and in that little bit of time. And so that right there, everything I've gone through, everything that I've suffered through, discipline, the training, that one conversation right there is worth it, no matter the 100 others that there's
Yep.
been. But that one single conversation, knowing the fact that that's impacted my daughter and she changed her behavior because of what I've done and what she's seen me exhibit. And then this guy that she's talking to is talking about how he really kind of felt bad because he's got no reasons to not be doing the things he should be doing, and he's going to start doing those. So it absolutely is imperative. You do not realize, even if you have small kids at this point, how the standards that you set will carry through to them. And you may not see it. You won't realize it right away. I promise that, right? But you will see it. If you stick to those standards and you set those standards and you never revert back on those standards, it will change your kids' lives. It will change your family's life. It will change their kids' lives because they will exhibit those same qualities and those same traits as well.
We've said it over and over again. A father's life is the blueprint his kids will follow. That is it. He just said how that is true because he has demonstrated discipline. His daughter now has a blueprint for who do I want to spend my life with. Like that's the exact literal proof of that statement. A father's life is the blueprint his kids follow. She's going to go through struggle and adversity, but she's going to say, let me check my blueprint. Let me see what my dad did. Oh, when he was going through severe adversity, he didn't quit. That's what I'm going to do. What if he quit? What if Darren gained 100 pounds and got sloppy and undisciplined? What would her blueprint be? What do people do when resistance comes? What did dad do? Dad gives up. So that's what I'm going to do. That's my blueprint. So every negotiation you give yourself, that you're etching into stone a path for your kids. Do this. Like just remember that. Every negotiation you give yourself, you're telling your kids it's okay for you to do this. But every time you hold strong, you're going to feel fear, you're going to feel doubt, you're going to feel resistance. It's normal. You're going to feel depression. Every time you battle through that and do what you have to do anyway, you're still also giving your kids a blueprint. You're saying when you feel these things, you do not have to give up. Do the thing anyway. It's a blueprint, what you decide to do. Nothing you're going through is worth tanking the next generation's life.
Yes.
The doubt you feel. Do you know how much doubt I felt with this business and quitting my job in the past? Like I told you, my first month after I quit, I had 0 sales. Scary as shit. I was like, well, I gave up my pension, health benefits, and salary, and I have $0 coming in. What am I going to do? Scary. I could have sent an email, had my job back. But now my son and daughter talk about how I was scared, doubtful, fearful, and did the thing anyway. A blueprint. Here's one more. Here's another blueprint thing because I've talked to about this same topic with my son and I've demonstrated it. Talk about it all the time. This is about fear. Doing the thing when you feel fear anyway. And I was so proud of my son this weekend. 2 massive moments. Like I said, there was 0 reception this entire weekend. And I got to spend one-on-one present time with my wife, daughter, son, and just super hone in on them and get to know them. That was my goal. I want to find something new about them this weekend. And there was a group of kids, teenagers, who were playing football up on a field. And I was sitting around the fire, and Nathan walks up. Let me Jake in here. Nathan sees them playing, and he's with his friend who is there with him. Nathan walks up the hill, just confidently walks straight up to this group of teenagers, says, "Hey, can I play with you?" And they say, "Yeah, sure." Bring him in. I look over a minute later. He's the all-time Q throwing balls to everyone. His friend is kind of like standing by the tree watching. And that blew me away because I could never have done that as a kid. I was self-conscious. I was a little unconfident. I would have been terrified to walk up to a group of teenagers and say, "Hey, can I play?" I would have been, I was too scared of what they would say to me. I would have imagined that they would have made fun of me. All these things. But here's the other thing. Since Nathan was 1 years old, for him and Lauren, we gave them assignments. We said, when we took them to the playground and we said, your job is to go up and have fun and then come back to me with the name of a new kid. We did that since they were 1. We said, you need to go have fun and then come back to me with the name of a new friend. Because I realized what a crippling character flaw that was in myself that I've gotten over, but as a child, crippling. And also, if you want to run a business, if you want to bring people into your world, you have to be able to make a network and talk to people and make connections. If you can't socialize, you're saying I want to be broke. Like if you have any hope of running a business, you better be nice to people and know how to talk to people and communicate. It's a massive skill. Maybe the best skill. I know people who have nothing to offer, but they're super likable. People love working with them, and they give them money. So I want to develop this skill in my kids. So that from a very young age, we told both, see you, Matt. I told both Nathan and Lauren to do these kind of things. So Nathan went up and did that. And I brought him back down later, or after he was done, he came back down. And eventually his friend went up and played as well, which I was happy. Nathan invited his friend to come play with them. So all of them were playing up there. About an hour later, Nathan comes down, sits next to me. I said, "I'm so proud of you, what you did." And he said, "What?" I said, "You just walked up right to them, started playing with them, and you weren't scared." And the next thing he said blew me away. It could have been written in the Marcus Aurelius book, and I wrote it down in my notepad here. I said, "I'm so proud of you for this." He said, "It's because I'm not afraid of the answer." He said, "It's because I'm not afraid of the answer." I almost started crying when he said that.
Huge.
It was the most beautiful, piercing piece of wisdom. And then I made him keep talking. I said, "What do you mean?" I knew what he meant, but I wanted him to flesh it out for himself. He said, "Well, if they were having fun and didn't want to hang out with me, it's okay. I don't want to ruin their fun. I want them to keep having fun. They can keep on playing." He said, "If they would have said no, it would have been no big deal. I would have just came back here and hung out with you." So he foresaw the potential for fear and failure, embarrassment. What would they think? All of that horrible, nightmarish shit that keeps guys stuck forever. He said, "I'm just not afraid of it." So I went up and tried the thing anyway. Unbelievable. Yeah, Joe.
Cool, man. Cool to hear a story about the camping. I have a similar situation happen. So we went camping twice, Memorial Day weekend and then last weekend. Memorial Day weekend was kind of more like you know, kind of like your campsite where there's a lot of people around, a lot of trailers and stuff like that. So my son was there was a Boy Scout troop there too, and I think having him in jujitsu and practicing with the older kids gave him a lot of confidence. So he played. He went up to the Boy Scouts. They were playing Gaga Ball or whatever it's called, and he got right in, and he didn't even flinch. It was really cool to see that. By the end of the day, which in this situation kind of sucked for me because he didn't really spend too much time with his parents at all. We got no alone time. He always wanted to be with the kids because he's not in that environment often. So, we just let it go and it was great. We went camping last weekend and that was a whole alone time. It was really special. It was really cool. And we got to have a lot of time together and it was just great. So really a lot of similar crossover there between your story and ours. And I'm just really proud of the fact that we took the time to spend with those two vacations and I got it in. Cool.
Beautiful. Yeah, it feels so good when you see your kids doing those things. Like character wins. Teaching Nathan how to make a fire is great, but this was a far greater victory because this is an emotional skill, an emotional triumph that he'll be able to take for millions of situations in his life. Like go back, like quitting my job, fearful, failure. Yes, did it anyway. What if he wants to do that? What if he wants to How many guys never ask a girl out because they're afraid she's going to say no? He just said, I'm not afraid of the answer. He's decades ahead of where I was as a 10-year-old. I'm not afraid of the answer. I want to go for a job. What if they think I'm unqualified? I'm not afraid of the answer. I'll just do it anyway. It's huge. And then he told me a story of, I made him flesh this out. And he told me a story of that a teacher at his school told him about Einstein. And Einstein was doing a presentation, and he had a crowd of people in an auditorium, and he wrote 100 different problems and equations on the board, and he intentionally did one incorrect one. And then all these people raised their hand and pointed out the incorrect one he did. And he said, like, all of you noticed the one incorrect thing I did, but you missed the 99 successes I did. You missed every single great thing that happened because you were focused on the negative of what could happen. And because of that, that's why you are where you are. And that's where I am, why I'm where I am. And Nathan told me this. I've never heard that story before. One of his teachers told that to him. It made me proud of the school he goes to, and also very proud that he was able to relate a story to the situation he's going into. So that's what I got, guys, from this weekend. If anyone else has anything they wanted to talk about, any shares, any struggles, any issues whatsoever, this is the time. And actually, Pablo, I want to hear from you, man, because I feel like I haven't talked to you for a while. Give me an update on how Pablo's doing.
Hey, how's it going? I actually have talked a lot on Monday. So yeah, I
Well,
know
I
you weren't
missed it, so
here.
you need to recap
I
me.
know. Man, I talked quite a bit, man. I talked about the situation with my dad. Um, Ended up talking to him. And most of the guys heard it, but the whole infidelity thing with my mom and
Yeah.
having to, face him basically and just tell him how everything was. And dude, again, because of the group, because of everything we talk about, and the same things, like, how Nathan, you know uh been learning from you all this stuff. Like, I've been applying a lot of this stuff in real life. And before, like I said, I would have never I would have avoided that conflict. I would have avoided that one-on-one, like, bringing something up, you know what I mean? And like this time, I couldn't hold it. Like, I was like, this has to be done. And I sat down with him, got my sister on the phone, and we just talked it out. Like, look, this is how it is, blah blah blah. And you know, he took it, and he was glad we brought it up and stuff like that. You know, um, and it was an amazing moment, man. It was cool. And then I brought this up too, also with my son, like, communication wise. Um, the other day, uh, kind of got a little loud with him because of the responses that he was giving me. He's 17. He thinks he knows it all and all that stuff. And I came back and I was like, man, listen, I apologize for raising my voice at you. But this is what I meant. And this is, I was not expecting this and this and this from you. Back months ago, I would have not even dealt with that, or I would have been pissed off for a while, a lot longer, So a lot of benefits, man. And same thing I said the other day, man. I've been kind of like, thinking about the program and everything, and it's just it is priceless, right? You can't put a price on the stuff that all the wisdom we're gaining and the things that we're doing. You can't really put a price on that, man. Just like how, thing with your son, and it's just amazing, So I believe I am going to be renewing for another year, bro.
Oh, yeah.
So, and I'm getting back into my working out, because I was out for like 3 weeks with this freaking severe cough, and right after my daughter's uh, birthday party thing that we threw, and I still got a little bit of it.
Nice.
But this week, man, I've been trying to hit it hard. I'm sore as shit, but it feels
Yeah.
good. You
Yeah.
know, I
That's real
took my
good.
daughter yesterday. I took my daughter yesterday to work out with me, and it was fun. It was a lot of fun. So
Beautiful. The, what you got, the journey that we are all on is just different. Don't take it for granted. This is a special moment in all of our lives. Like this is the time to permanently make an infinite impact and change who we are in our families forever. Just just remind yourself of that. Re-listen to the calls, stay engaged in the group, and everybody. But just like meditate on how important it is the journey that you are on. Never allow any resistance or anything to sway you from what you're doing. Amen. What you got?
Good morning, gentlemen. How are you?
Nice to see you, man.
Alrighty. Yeah, nice to see you as well. I'm on my way to physio every Wednesday. I get a nice stretch in. I've been stretching 7 days a week now, and it's helping me a lot with avoiding injury and staying flexible and moldable for new workout programs. So, anyways, what I want to talk about is two things. One is doctor's plan that he's got me on and the difficulty of it and the amount of mind control required,
Beautiful.
um, and his example of how he has been disciplined through his life and how his daughter had that conversation. This diet plan, like today I'm on 20 carbs. Thursday and Friday I'm on 0 carbs again. Fucking hardest thing I've ever done. It is. I will never ever complain about carbs ever again in my life. Clean carbs. I will stuff sweet potato. I will eat berries. Whatever kind of good carb. I will always remember these days of 0 carbs because it takes a whole lot of discipline. Um, my kids, I've been in this for 6 months because kids have a very short memory span. Let me tell you that they don't even remember the old me anymore. And that's a beautiful thing when you have young kids. When you have kids that are even 10, 12, 13, 14, they're they still have you could spend the rest of or the second half of your life, which is a majority of their life, being a new you. My kids do not remember the fat dad anymore. They say to me, "Oh, dad always works out. Doesn't matter if we got
Mm-hmm.
this going on. Dad's got to work out." Like my 9-year-old made a joke. When we go to the doctor, Doctor John Chan, our family doctor, cures everything with Vaseline. Just put some Vaseline on it. So the joke at our house is just put Vaseline on it. And he said, and the joke was, he said, "Oh well, mom can't go anywhere till dad goes to the gym first." And we all started laughing. And the point of that is that imagine living a life. Imagine this new chapter of your life, living this new chapter of your life, knowing that people like your kids will not remember the old you. This is the new you. And I don't ever want to show my kids that old me, the old version of me, which was a version I had to go through to get here, that used to drink on Thursday night, Friday night, be a little bit sloppy on Saturday, be at soccer practice, sitting on the bench instead of standing and cheering them on. Um, Instead of walking around the field, pacing around the field, now I pace around the field. I used to just sit and kind of have my head down. I don't ever want them to remember that. So you can make for the new guys here, you're going to become a new you, and your kids are going to know someone else that you actually want to be and you who you will become. Um, so yeah, that's something that's very exciting for me right now. My kids have forgotten the old me, the person that even I want to forget.
You have recreated yourself. Now, what is the pressure like? And Ahmed, I want to I want to do this with each of our guys who have been posted. I want to do like a separate call with each of you individually and really dig into your psyche and what the journey was like up until this point.
Yep.
What like your kids are remembering you differently right now. What is the pressure now to what is your thinking right now about maintaining your current state and not going back? Like, is there a different importance on that?
Yes. So there's two ways that I'm looking at it. One is this is easy. It's actually not that hard. I just have to continuously do exactly what I'm doing now, which I love to do. I love to wake up on time. I love to work out. I love that feeling. I love being ahead of the game. I love the me time, the quality time. I had a staff member at my house, Colin. He's lost 52 pounds, and I put him on the same program that you and I are on, Chris. He doesn't want to be in it. He doesn't want to be forced. He doesn't want to be anything. I just say, just eat this, just eat this. I don't even give him macros. He's lost 54 pounds in 4 months.
Unbelievable.
He said to me, I don't have time for myself. He said, I'm so frustrated. I don't have time for myself. I said to him, Colin, your mindset is wrong about this. Your workout time is your time. Your alone time in the morning is your quality time. The time where you eat breakfast alone is your quality time. What do you mean you don't have fucking time? You have all the time in the world. So the first way I look at it is that it's easy and we have the time to do this. So it's super simple to continue this life. And the second way I'm looking at this is if I go back to the other person again, what will I be showing my wife and my kids? The message that I will give them will be a death message
Mm-hmm.
that our family, that I am actually willing to die. A bad death, not a good death. There's a thing where you could say, I would die for my family when people say that. Well, would you? I don't think so. If you can't even wake up at 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock, you can't work out for an hour a day, but you would die for your family. So those are two perspectives I'm looking at. One, it's easy. This is simple. And the second one is I can't go back. There's too much accountability at stake right now. There's too much at stake.
The more you level up, the more strings are attached to you and people that you're pulling up.
Yep.
Like every new level you rise to, more people latch onto you, and they're all dependent on you. Like it's a burden it's a burden and responsibility for sure. But that is the gift of being a leader. Like you can cut all those strings and release yourself from that burden and not be a leader, or you can graciously accept that responsibility and say, because of what I've built myself into, now all these people, their lives depend on me living to this standard. It's a beautiful burden. Our families being those thickest strings that we have to live to. So if
And
you
one
go
last
ahead.
thing for me individually, for my heart, for my soul, for my mind, I've never been clearer on what I want from life. I've never been I've never been healthier. I've never been wealthier. What more could I ask for? I did a post yesterday on Instagram, and Chris, you liked it. I am so blessed. There's nothing more I could ask for. This is it. So why change it? Why give myself the ability to mock myself and say, "You bitch"? I cannot go back there. It cannot happen.
And
It will
everything
not happen.
and everything you will become. I mean, you're only what, 36? Yeah. Everything you will become. So more responsibility, more challenges, more resistance, more obstacles. All that graciously accepted. Everyone, I hope you're fired up. I hope you're ready to attack the boring, consistent work that will make you unbelievable. Like do the boring, consistent shit that is going to make you unstoppable. You don't need to do a 30-day fast right now. You just need to hit your macros. Like you don't need to do anything crazy. You just need to hit your macros, do your posting, do your accountability, do your workouts. That's it. But then do it every day. Unbelievable, guys. Today and tomorrow, I'm forming our accountability groups now that I'm back camping. So you will find yourself in one of those. And I will give more information on that as we go. Next call is Saturday morning, and I will see all of you guys there. Destroy today, everybody. I'll see you.